असहाब मोहम्मद हक के वली वो बकर उमर उस्मान अली यारान नबी में सबसे जली वो बकर उमर उस्मान अली असहाब मोहम्मद हक के वली असहाब मोहम्मद हक के वली
وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على أشرف الأنبياء سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد طب القلوب ودوائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها وبعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا سيدي يا حبيب الله. والصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا خير خلق الله. When it comes to the issue of Afzaliyat, definitions are very important, that we understand ta'rifat and istalahat, definitions and technical terms which are employed in the discussion revolving around tafdeel, giving superiority to anyone. And before we delve into the subject, it is very important that we understand the da'wah, the claim of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. What is the claim of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah? Because throughout many years, we have witnessed that people have accused Ahl Sunnah of making takfir, disbelief of those individuals who make tafdeel, give superiority to someone other than Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, when this is not the case. In fact, people like Imam Yusuf al-Nabahani rahimahullah ta'ala in Ashraf al-Mu'abbad, in his book on the Ahlul Bayt, mention that the bid'ah of tafdeel, giving tafdeel, superiority to someone over Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, is bid'ah akhaf, a light innovation. Even though the fuqaha, the jurists, have stipulated in their works that praying behind such a person is makruh, disliked. So, before we enter into the discussion of tafdeel, it is important that we understand definitions and our claim regarding Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu. In my hand I have the work Al-Mu'taqad Al-Muntaqad of Fadl Rasul Al-Badayuni rahimahullah ta'ala, who passed away in 1289. And he was one of the leading ulama of India in his time, one of the leading mutakallimin. Even the aged Sayyid Abdul Qadir Shah, in his book Zubdatul Tahqiq, he mentions this work also. And as a reliable work of Ilmul Kalam, Imam Ahmad al-Bakhan rahimahullah ta'ala has a commentary on this work, Al-Mustanad Al-Mu'tamad, well known and widely published. Even as Sayyid Irfan Shah Hafidhullah has an edition, this is his edition. And within this work, we have the Mas'alatul Tafdeel mentioned in the text of Fadl Rasul Badayuni rahimahullah ta'ala. He states, وَالْإِمَامُ الْحَقُّ بَعْدَ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَآلِهِ وَسَلَّمَ أبو بكر ثم عمر ثم عثمان ثم علي رضي الله تعالى عنه أجمعين. Mentioning that Al-Imam al-Haq, and this is something agreed upon by everyone. But then he mentions tafdeel. He states, وَالْفَضِيلَةُ عَلَى تَرْتِيبِ الْخِلَافَةِ, that superiority is in the order of the khilafah. Now, we know the words of Kalam, like the work of Sa'aduddin Taftazani rahimahullah ta'ala, Sharh al-Aqaid, mention that there is a dispute regarding the order of Sayyidina Uthman and Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala. And what concerns us is the Tafdeel al-Shaykhain radiallahu anhuma, Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu and Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu. Under this note 316, Imam Ahmad Rida Khan rahimahullah ta'ala has a ta'liq, a note which states, تبع في هذه العبارة الحسنة الأئمة السابقين, that he followed in this text of his the previous ulama. وفيها رد على المفضلة الزمان, and in this text he has refuted the sect Mufaddilat Zaman, the people of our time, who have given superiority to someone other than Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. Al-Mudda'ina as-Sunniyata bi-Zawri wal-Buhtan, that they are claimed to be Ahl Sunnah with a false claim, these people. And he states, حيث أولوا مسألة ترتيب الفضيلة, in such a way that they have reinterpreted the mas'ala to tafdeel. They have reinterpreted this mas'ala. In fact, he is referring to Imam Ahmad al-Dakhan rahimahullah ta'ala, is referring to one of the ulama who wrote a hashiyah, a sharh upon the Musnad of Imam al-A'zam radiyallahu anhu, who passed away, was a contemporary of Imam Ahmad al-Dakhan rahimahullah ta'ala. However, he repented from his initial qawl. And in the work Hayati ala Hadrat rahimahullah ta'ala, there is a mention that this debate, a written debate, took place between this contemporary with Imam Ahmad al-Dakhan rahimahullah ta'ala. Now, how did these contemporaries of Imam Ahmad al-Dakhan rahimahullah ta'ala reinterpret the mas'ala? He states, حيث أولوا مسألة ترتيب الفضيلة بأن المعنى الأولوية للخلافة الدنيوية, that these people reinterpreted the meaning of tafdeel as being preference for caliphate, the worldly caliphate. And وهي لمن كان أعرف بسياسة المدن, that the caliphate was for someone who was more learned with regard to politics of the cities, وتجهيز الأعساكر, and preparing armies, وغير ذلك من الأمور المحتاج إليها في السلطنة, that other matters which are needed to be king or to be a leader, a sultan. So they reinterpreted the mas'ala to tafdeel. And this is the exact same claim made by the author of Zubdat al-Tahqiq. Within the work, he mentions that he believes Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu is afdal in terms of his caliphate, that he was the most fit person to take up the caliphate from this aspect. So this is the very same point which Imam Ahmad al-Dakhan rahimahullah ta'ala is making regarding the Mufaddila of his time, that they reinterpreted this mas'ala. And he states, وَهَذَا قَوْلٌ بَاطِلٌ خَبِيثٌ, this is a rejected saying, مُخَالِفٌ لِإِجْمَاعِ الصَّحَابَةِ وَالتَّابِعِينَ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى عَنْهُمْ, that this opposes the consensus of the companions and the tabi'een. بَلِ الْأَفْضَلِيَةُ, now this is the ta'rif, definition of what we mean by afdaliyah. Because look, if you find a qawl in the books of as-Salaf as-Salihun where they say such and such is afdal, either they meant afdal in a certain aspect, or they meant afdal in all aspects. One is referred to as fadila juz'iyya, and the other one is min kulli wujuh, from all aspects. It is quite obvious that the vast majority of the time they mean fadila juz'iyya, like aqdakum Ali radiyallahu anhu, afradakum Zayd, that the best of you as a judge is Sayyidina Ali karamallahu wajhahu al-kareem, and the best of you in inheritance laws is Sayyidina Zayd radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. So, moving on to the definition of afdaliyah, when Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah mention that the tafdeel of Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu is done, Imam Ahmad al-Dakhan rahimahullah ta'ala mentions, بل الأفضلية في كثرة الثواب وقرب رب الأرباب والكرامة عند الله تعالى. ولذا عبر عن المسألة في الطريقة المحمدية وغيرها في بيان عقائد السنة بأن أفضل الأولياء المحمدين أبو بكر ثم عمر ثم عثمان ثم علي رضي الله تعالى عنه. So the definition of أفضلية when أهل السنة والجماعة mention that Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu is أفضل البشر بعد الأنبياء, with the ijma' of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they mean in the following things: كثرة الثواب, قرب رب الأرباب, and الكرامة عند الله تعالى, which is numerous reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and nobility with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أفضل البشر بعد الأنبياء is Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And this is what is mentioned by Sa'duddin Taftazani rahimahullah ta'ala in his work Al-Maqasid, and its commentary by him, Sharh Al-Maqasid. And Imam Ahmad al-Khan rahimahullah ta'ala mentions وَلِلْعَبْدِ الضَّعِيفِ فِي الرَّدِّ عَلَى هَؤُلَاءِ الضَّالِينَ كتاب حافل كافل بسيط محيط سميته مطلع القمرين بإبانة سبقة العمرين. This brings us into the subject that the definition of ijma' according to Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah is that Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu in kathratu thawab and qurb to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and al-karama inda Allah ta'ala after al-anbiya alayhimu salatu was salam is afdalul bashar. This is the da'wah, the claim of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. So when a text which mentions that anyone else is afdal, either those people understand it from min kulli wujuh or min wajhin, that if a text comes that such and such is afdal, it's from a certain aspect, or min kulli wujuh. When Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah make the claim that fadila mutlaqa, unrestricted superiority is meant, then this is the definition that is meant, and we should not get confused. This is the actual definition. Al-Imam al-Nawawi radiyallahu ta'ala an, in his fatawa, mentions, because some people have said Tansis stipulation of ijma' is not done by anyone. Al-Imam al-Nawawi radiyallahu ta'ala an is asked in his fatawa, ما قول علماء السنة فيما قيل إن عليا رضي الله تعالى عنه. It mentions a whole questioning regarding certain ahadith like من كنت مولاه فعلي مولاه and أقضاكم علي. Does this entail وهل كان مولى لأبي بكر وعمر وهما أفضل منه أم لا? Replying to this within the question, Al-Imam al-Nawawi radiyallahu ta'ala an states, وأما قول السائل هل هما أفضل منه فاعلم أن كل واحد منهما أفضل من علي بإجماع أهل السنة. That there is إجماع أهل السنة والجماعة that Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu and Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu anhu have أفضلية, and أفضلية with the definition that we have mentioned. Even though Al-Imam al-Nawawi radiyallahu ta'ala anhu in the text further down when he mentions أقضاكم علي, he mentions that this does not apply to Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu and Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu anhu, but this is not the bahth of ijma'. This particular thing is not the discussion of ijma'. We move on to something which is mentioned commonly, is that this mas'ala is mas'ala dhanniya, and the word dhann is used as if to say that when any mas'ala i'tiqadiyya, an issue revolving around belief, if the word dhann is used, this is to discredit that issue. And I mentioned to you the work of Sa'duddin Taftazani rahimahullah ta'ala, Sharh al-Aqaid, which is a commentary on the Matn al-Aqaid of Umar al-Nasafi rahimahullah ta'ala, and the famous work of Abdul Aziz Parharwi, which is al-Nibras, the commentary of Al-Aqaid. This, by the way, I used as a bookmark today, the work of Abdul Aziz Parharwi rahimahullah ta'ala, al-Nahiya an ta'ni Amir al-Mu'minin Muawiyah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, which is a work of his also. Because Shah Abdul Aziz rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned that the Mufaddila, some of them do ta'an on companions of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, and this has become very common now, that people make firstly ta'an on Amir Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And this is why some of As-Salaf As-Salihun stated that Muawiyah radiallahu anhu is like a curtain for the companions. If the curtain is removed, then people will assail and target other companions after they target this particular companion radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Within this work, what was misquoted is further down when the bahth of Afzaliyat is mentioned in the Sharh al-Aqaid, the ibara which states وَأَمَّا نَحْنُ فَقَدْ وَجَدْنَا دَلَائِلَ الْجَانِبَيْنِ متعارضة ولم نجد هذه المسألة مما يتعلق به شيء من الأعمال أو يكون التوقف فيه مخلا بشيء من الواجبات.
This text was mentioned as being that the two groups of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah differing amongst themselves regarding Afzaliyat, that one group is saying that Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu is Afdal, and the other group is saying that Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu is Afdal, and was posed up to the audience that Imam Sa'aduddin Taftazani rahmahullah ta'ala is saying that both groups are at loggerheads with one another. But this was not referring to two groups of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Imam Abdul Aziz Parharwi rahmahullah ta'ala mentions within the interlinear commentary, he states, Dalail al-Janibayn ay al-Shi'ati wa Ahli Sunnah, that we find that the evidence of both groups were at loggerheads with one another. But further down, Abdul Aziz Parharwi rahmahullah ta'ala covers this issue regarding dhann, that if a mas'ala is dhanniya, then does it mean that you cannot build a qaid on dhann? And Imam Ahmad al-Khan rahmahullah ta'ala in Az-Zilal al-Anqa mentions what is meant by dhann. Whenever the word dhann is used in books of aqaid, it does not mean that qat' has been negated. This does not mean that qat' has been negated. Not all dhann, because there is qat'i am and there is qat'i khas, that there is those evidences which are daruriyatul deen. If someone rejects them, he becomes a kafir. And there are those masail, if someone rejects them, which are known as daruriyatu ahli sunnati wal jama'ah, we do not do takfir of the individual. The person is still considered a Muslim, but out the fold of ahli sunnati wal jama'ah, those masail are sometimes referred to as a masail dhanniya. And the word dhann is not meant that they are dhann as in like the dhann of the mushrikeen. What is meant is dhann which is known as ghalbatu dhann, predominant thought. For instance, if someone were lost in the desert and it becomes ghalib ala dhannihi, predominant on his thought that there is water nearby, this obligates on him to go and find the water and perform wudu, showing that dhann is mujib. It sometimes necessitates certain aspects of the religion. So when the word dhann is used here, it does not come in the meaning that it is dhann like the dhann of the mushrikeen or the Yahud and the Nasara, or type of dhann which is rejected. And Imam Abdul Aziz Parharwi rahmahullah ta'ala mentions this, a whole page, which because of the lack of time I'm not going to read this out, but this is something which a ishara, an indication is enough that when this discussion comes about, the issue of dhann will be brought up, and the ta'arif of dhann. And when dhann is mentioned for verses of Al-Quran Al-Kareem, what is the import of that? When dhann is mentioned for a hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, for instance, khabrul ahad are dhanni, but if the khabrul ahad are sahih, the one who rejects khabrul ahad becomes a fasiq, a person who you cannot pray behind because he has rejected sahih hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. Yet for khabrul ahad the word dhann is used. Another point here also is regarding ijma', that when ijma' takes place, the istinadul ijma', if it is to dhann, the mafadul ijma' is not dhanni, it is qat'i, because the mafadul ijma' is always qat'i. It is also always decisive, whether the istinadul ijma' is khabrul wahid or whether the istinadul ijma' is qiyas. And this is a discussion which Al-Amidi in his work Al-Ihkam, and Imam Ghazali in Al-Mustasfa, and other mutakallimin and usuliyun mention in their works. And this is what they differ over. But no one differs over the fact that the mafad, the benefit of ijma' is always qat'. What they differ on is what can a person make ijma' based on dhann reliable or not. And the jumhur of the mutakallimin and the usuliyin are on the madhab, on the school that it does give ijma' can be based on dhann. And this is something which they have pulled out single ibarat, single text from the ikhtilaf of the fuqaha and presented them to people in order to confuse them. Imam Ahmad al-Khan rahimahullah ta'ala in volume 28, again of Al-Ataya al-Nabawiyya fi Fatawa al-Ridawiyya, mentions And this is also mentioned by Imam Ibn Hajar al-Makki rahimahullah ta'ala in As-Sawa'iq al-Muhriqa, which we'll go into shortly. He states, أقول والجواب عنه أن مستندنا الأول الذي عليه المعول في هذا الباب إجماع الصحابة والتابعين لهم بإحسان رضي الله تعالى عنهم أجمعين. That he states that our istinad, our evidence, what we rely upon in Afzaliyat of Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu is the ijma' of as-Sahaba and at-Tabi'in radiyallahu anhum. Who copied this ijma'? That as-Sahabatul Kiram and at-Tabi'un then had ijma' on this mas'ala. He states, كما نقله الإمام الشافعي. Who done this naql? Al-Imam al-Shafi'i radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. That there is ijma' as-Sahaba and ijma' al-Tabi'in. And he states, ثم البيهقي ثم آخرون. Then Al-Imam al-Bayhaqi then naql of this ijma'. And then others also the naql of this ijma'. And he states, وَدَلَّتْ عَلَيْهِ أَحَدِيثُ عِنْدَ الْبُخَارِ وَغَيْرِهِ كَمَا فَصَلْتُ فِي الْكِتَابِ. He mentioned that many ahadith point out to this fact that the ijma' of the companions was formed on the Afzaliyat of Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Further down, within the same book, Al-Imam Ahmad al-Khan rahimahullah ta'ala on page 667 of the same book. Those of you who can read Urdu must read this work in volume 28 of Al-Fatawa Ridawiyya. And this book is also in the Arabic language, and inshallah with the blessings of the Sadat, inshallah this book will be tahqiq, will be done on this book, Az-Zilal al-Anqa, with ta'liqat. All these points mentioned from As-Sawa'iq al-Muhriqa and other points will be placed in the footnotes, and inshallah this work will be republished, refuting also the points made by Sa'id Mamdouh in his book, which he reopened this subject. In this, Al-Imam Ahmad al-Khan rahimahullah ta'ala mentions what تحقيق المقام على ما ألهمني الملك العلام أن العلم القطعي يستعمل في معنيين. That he states that the tahqiq regarding this is that al-qat'i, the word, which word? I want to know if you guys are listening or not. The word al-qat'i, because the people of Coventry got a bad reputation from my last lecture, because the Sayyid Irfan Shah Sahib, when they arrived, at the end I mentioned YouTube videos and everyone gave a nara takbir, nara risalat. I said something about the quality on YouTube and everyone understood that point, but when I made these other points, no one was understanding anything. So I want to know if you guys are understanding something, are benefiting from what I am saying. Imam Ahmad al-Khan rahimahullah ta'ala mentions that al-qat'i comes in two meanings. How many meanings? Two meanings. And he mentions this, you can go check this yourselves. Those of you who read Urdu, you can check this, and those of you who read Arabic, you can check this as well. Further down, on page 673, he mentions that those people who reject this fact that the word al-qat'i does not have two meanings, one meaning which is general and sometimes is referred to as dhanni, he states, if this is the case, then قُلْ لَهُمْ, say to such people, اتركوا الواجبات بأصرها ثم انظروا ما يأتيكم من وعيد الشريعة وتأثيمها. That leave all the wajibat, because fara'id are proven from qat'iyya, the qat'iyya khas. As for those wajibat, they are proven from qat'iyam. Leave all these wajibat and see what comes to you from the punishment of the sharia. If you reject that there is something known as dhanni am. So when the word dhann is used in the mas'alatul ijma' of Afzaliyat, what the dhann is meant is dhann am. And there is difference of opinion, because Imam Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari rahimahullah ta'ala was of the opinion that the ijma', the istinadul ijma' is qat'i, while some minority of ulama were of the opinion that the istinadul ijma' is dhanni, and this is the ibarah that they have been presenting, that it is dhanni and there is no source of law. If this was the case, that we do away with every ijma' which is based on dhanni evidence, dhanni am, which is the general one, which is a part of qat' as well, then you do away with all the ahkam shari'ah, all legal rulings which are based on the dhann. For instance, the ijma' of the madhahib arba'a. If today someone gives fatwa based on the school of a companion, he is considered a fasiq if the fatwa is not in accordance with al-madhahib al-arba'a. Here we have Shaykh Aqidat al-Imam al-Ghazali radiyallahu ta'ala an by Abu al-Abbas Ahmad bin Zarruq al-Fasi rahimahullah ta'ala. Ahmad Zarruq rahimahullah ta'ala, one of the reliable ulama of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. In his work, for instance, this is just a random quotation because I've come from Birmingham and I just picked up a few books, but there are many quotations which have been taken out of context. For instance, attributing to Imam Malik radiallahu ta'ala an, that when he gave Afzaliyat to Sayyidatuna Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha, that this was fadila mutlaqa, unrestricted, when in fact the tafdeel of Sayyidah Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha is from the aspect of her lineage and other good qualities which are in Sayyidatuna Fatima radiallahu ta'ala anha. And this is clarified. For instance, he states regarding Imam Malik radiallahu ta'ala anhu, وفي المدونة سئل مالك من خير الناس بعد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Imam Malik radiallahu anhu was asked who is the best person after the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم, فقال أبو بكر ثم عمر, that Abu Bakr, then Umar radiallahu anhuma. And Imam Malik said, أو في ذلك شك, is there any doubt in this? فقيل فعلي وعثمان, and it has been said Ali and Uthman, showing the dispute, that there is a dispute regarding Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu and Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. That is Jamhur mas'ala, that the Jamhur was with Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. But when it comes to Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu and Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, then we say it is ijma'. With Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu, we say Jamhur. And he states, ما أدركت أحدا يعتد به يفضل أحدهما على صاحبه ويرى الكف عن ذلك. That was regarding the qawl of Sayyidina Ali and Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhuma. Further down, Ahmad Zarruq rahimahullah ta'ala mentions, واختلف في هذا التفضيل هل هو قطعي, that it was differed over, is this tafdeel qat'iyun? He states, وَمَالَ إِلَيْهِ الْأَشْعَرِيُّونَ أَوْ ظَنِّيٌّ, that the Ash'a'ira, they said it is qat'i, and others said, is it dhanni? But what is meant by dhann is not the dhann that is being portrayed to people, that the dhann is something that you do away with. And this is what Imam Ahmad al-Dakhan rahimahullah ta'ala clarifies. And he mentions all the aqwal that have been attributed to Ibn Abd al-Barr in his work al-Istidkar, and his other work al-Isti'ab. Then Ibn Abd al-Barr, even him in his al-Istidkar, mentions that these are the aqwal that have been mentioned, but what he attributes to Imam Malik radiallahu anhu, we have seen clearly what the school of Imam Malik radiallahu anhu was. And for detail on that, see Az-Zilal al-Anqa. He states regarding this, وَقَالَهُ الْقَاضِي مِنْ أَبُو بَكْرٍ الْبَقِلَانِ, and this is the quotes that they've been presenting from Al-Qadi Abu Bakr al-Baqilani, mentioning regarding the istinad of the ijma' which has been formed, is it dhann or qat'? With regard to particular scholars, like what has been mentioned regarding Shah Waliullah and Shah Abdul Aziz, and also Shaykh Abdul Haq Muhaddith Dahlawi, and then with regard to Ibn Abd al-Barr and Al-Qadi Abu Bakr al-Baqilani, this is a different aspect of the lecture. But the main thing understanding is regarding dhann and qat', and whether the ijma' has been formed. If Imam Shafi'i radiallahu ta'ala an has done conceived stipulation that ijma' has been formed on this mas'ala, then why are such people rejecting it? In Kitab al-Irshad of Imam al-Juwayni, the teacher of Imam al-Ghazali radiallahu ta'ala an, we have a quote, for instance. Imam al-Juwayni radiallahu ta'ala an states in his famous book
Kitab al-Irshad, the teacher of Imam al-Ghazali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Here, because we've been discussing dhan and qat', it is interesting to see the ibara of Imam al-Juwayni radiallahu anhu. From the beginning to the end. From the beginning to the end. Why? Because the author of Zubda, when he quotes, for instance, As-Sawa'iq al-Muhriqa, he quotes lines from the book. If he quoted the whole passage from this word, As-Sawa'iq, not only the school of Ibn Hajar al-Makki rahmallahu ta'ala will become apparent, but the authors that he quotes, like what Al-Hafidh Ibn Hajar al-Makki rahmallahu ta'ala states regarding Ibn Abd al-Barr or Al-Qadi Abu Bakr al-Baqilani, that would also become clear to the reader. Al-Imam al-Juwayni radiallahu ta'ala anhu states, ثم لم يقم عندنا دليل قاطع على تفضيل بعض الأئمة على بعض. This is after he mentions the Afzaliyat of Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. إذ العقل لا يشهد على ذلك. He states, there is no dalil qati'. But which type of qat' is meant? The qat', decisiveness, which if someone rejects, he rejects something from daruriyat ad-din, by which he becomes a disbeliever. This is a precise example where someone can present this text to someone and say, Imam al-Juwayni said there is no dalil qat'i. But which type of dalil qat'i that is meant? Is that if someone rejects this dalil, he has rejected something from daruriyat ad-din. Because later on when you do rabt, connection of the text with the bottom part of the text, this becomes clear. He states, وَالْأَخْبَارُ الْوَارِدَةُ فِي فَضَائِلِ مُتَعَارِضَةٌ لَا يُمْكِنُ تَلَقِّي التَّفْضِيلِ مِنْ منع إمامة المفضول ولكن الغالب على الظن الغالب على الظن من غلبة الظن, which is, we mentioned قطع عام and قطع خاص. غلبة الظن falls into one of the two categories. He states أن أبا بكر رضي الله عنه أفضل الخلائق بعد الرسل ثم عمر بعده أفضلهم وتتعارض الظنون في عثمان وعلي. That the dhanun differ in Sayyidina Uthman and Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu. Which type of dhan? Ghalbatu dhan, which is a qasim, a type of qatr. And then he states, وَقَدْ رُوِيَ عَنْ عَلِيٍّ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ أَنَّهُ قَالَ خَيْرُ النَّاسِ بَعْدَ نَبِيِّهِمْ أَبُو بَكْرٍ ثُمَّ عُمَرُ. That it has been narrated from Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, that the best of people after Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam and Sa'ir al-Anbiya is Abu Bakr and Umar radiallahu anhuma. ثُمَّ اللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ بِخَيْرٍ بَعْدَهُمَا. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best who is best after them. And then the dhanun differed regarding Sayyidina Uthman and Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu. فَهَذَا هُوَ قَوْلُهُ أَبْدَيْنَاهُ مُجَانِبًا لِلتَّقْلِيدِ جَارِيًا عَلَى الْحَقِّ الْوَاضِحِ. He states this, we are running on the clear truth. This tartib is clear truth. So when the word dhan is used, do not get carried away that this mas'ala is mas'ala dhanniya. No, this is technical language of the fuqaha, the mutakallimin. In their works, when they use the word dhan, does not come in the meaning that many people are making it out to be. And within a written debate, these four aspects are discussed. Number one, the definition of dhan and qat'. Number two, the definition of ijma' and the istinadul ijma'. When ijma' is mustanid ila dhan, what is the mafad of the ijma'? Number three, the reports which they are bringing out, some of them chainless reports, attribute, for instance, to Zayd bin Ali radiallahu anhuma, the report in Al-Milal wal-Nihal, chainless report of Shahristani. This is the third discussion. And the fourth discussion would be the attribution of certain aqwal to the ulama. These are the four things which will be discussed. And before these four things are discussed, the ta'arif, the definitions of afdaliyah. What is meant by afdaliyah? What is meant by tafdeel? And what is meant by afdaliyah mutlaqa? What is meant by afdaliyah min kulli al-wujuh? What is meant by afdaliyah juz'iyah? These are the things which will be discussed in a debate on this issue. The last reference, which I don't want to become a barrier between you and these two lions, is
Taqwa Zindabad. Is this passage, which I won't go on for too long, is in As-Sawa'iq al-Muhriqa, in the chapter which he has الباب الثالث في بيان أفضلية أبي بكر على سائر هذه الأمة. Chapter on superiority of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh on the rest of the nation. But if we follow what I said at the beginning, when the word Afdaliyah is used for Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh, what is meant? It's not Afdaliyah min kulli al-wujuh. No Sunni has ever claimed this. It's Afdaliyah mutlaqa, and what is meant by Afdaliyah mutlaqa? كثرة الثواب قرب عند رب الأرباب and al-karamatu عند الله سبحانه وتعالى. This is what we say there is ijma' upon. If someone brings an ibara of Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh, where he said the best of you is Ja'far al-Tayyar radiallahu anh, and Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar rahimahullah ta'ala in Fath al-Bari mentions that this is from an aspect juz'iyah, fadila juz'iyah, and then these people reject the qawl al-Hafidh ibn Hajar rahimahullah ta'ala and say no, it is mutlaqa, then no one has ever claimed, they don't even say mutlaqa min kulli al-wujuh. No one has, it's quite obvious to everyone that Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh did not mean min kulli al-wujuh, from every aspect. He was talking about a specific trait within Sayyidina Ja'far al-Tayyar radiallahu ta'ala anh. However, here, this ibara from As-Sawa'iq al-Muhriqa is really long. I'm not going to read the whole ibara, but he mentions regarding the ijma' upon this mas'ala, and he states regarding this, قلت أما ما حكاه أولا من أن السلف اختلفوا في تفضيلهما. He states some people have related that the salaf differed over the tafdeel of the shaykhain. As for this thing, فهو شيء غريب. It is something rare. انفرد عن غيره ممن هو أجل منه حفظا واطلاعا فلا يعول عليه. Who is he talking about? Earlier he's talking about Al-Qadi Abu Bakr and Ibn Abd al-Barr. Al-Qadi Abu Bakr and Ibn Abd al-Barr, because they said that اختلفوا في تفضيل أبي بكر وعلي رضي الله عنهما. وقوله أيضا قبل ذلك روي عن سلمان وأبي ذر والمقداد وخباب وجابر وأبي سعيد الخدري وزيد بن أرقم أن عليا أول من أسلم وفضله هؤلاء على غيره, that he رضي الله عنه is greater than all of them. This qawl has been related from all these companions. This is where the author of Zubda has taken it from. The author of Zubda has taken this ibara, that all these companions would give tafdeel. But look what Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar says after this ibara. He states, فكيف والحاكي لإجماع الصحابة والتابعين على تفضيل أبي بكر وعمر وتقديمهما على سائر الصحابة جماعة من أكابر الأئمة منهم الشافعي رضي الله تعالى عنه كما حكاه عنه البيهقي وغيره. That how can this be? When the one who is relating the ijma', that the companions agreed upon this, and the successors agreed upon this, that Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq and Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhuma are upon the rest of the companions, a whole group from the major ulama, from amongst them Al-Imam al-Shafi'i radiallahu anh, as is related by Imam al-Bayhaqi radiallahu anh. Then he states, وَأَنَّ مَنْ اخْتَلَفَ مِنْهُمْ إِنَّمَا اخْتَلَفَ فِي عَلِيٍّ وَعُثْمَانَ. That those who differed from amongst them, they only differed in Sayyidina Uthman and Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu. So, just reading Al-Qadi ibn Abd al-Barr, and just reading that one khilaf, that all these 20 companions said this, and not quoting As-Sawa'iq al-Muhriqa in its totality is something a part of this deception. And when it comes down to written, we will see, inshallah, when Az-Zilal al-Anqa in its new edition will come out, the work of Imam Ahmad al-Dakhan, another work, apart from Matla' al-Qamarain, inshallah, all these points will be tackled in the new tahqiq upon this work, Az-Zilal al-Anqa. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us success in understanding the positions of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. In this day and age, when Daruriyatul Deen are being attacked, to bring up the Afdaliyah mas'ala, it is not the Ahl Sunnah who have brought this up. It has been the author of Zubda. May Allah give him a long life and bring him back to the way of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. May Allah bring him back to the way of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah. He's a Sayyid, and inshallah we do dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring him back to the way of these Akabir Sadat of ours also. The mas'ala of tafdeel is nothing major, but people have made it great by associating with those who attack companions of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then we have other issues which are to do with daruriyatul deen, which we discussed in our last lecture in Coventry, that in this day and age where people are calling for unity with Hindus, Sikhs, Christians and Jews, in this day and age when people are defending Dante, in this day and age where people are defending insults on Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, to bring up this issue is causing division and schism within Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah and presenting texts from the words of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. I'll give you one example, if I have permission. In this work of Fadlul Rasul Badayuni rahmahullah ta'ala, he mentions that Imam al-Ghazali radiallahu anh made his belief very clear on Qudra. But in certain passages of Ihya Ulumuddin, like in Kitab al-Tawakkul, you will find passages which seem to give the illusion that Imam al-Ghazali held the position of the philosophers. Now if someone wanted to cause dissension amongst Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah, he will pick up Ihya Ulumuddin from Kitab al-Tawakkul, quote those passages and say the position of the philosophers is a valid position within Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Why? Because Imam al-Ghazali radiallahu anhu says it in his Ihya. Or random quoting from books like Al-Mawaqif and Sharh al-Mawaqif of Aduddin al-Iji when it comes to the Mas'alatu Imkan al-Kidh. Like now recently the Mas'alatu Imkan al-Kidh has been revived in the English language. People are quoting random passages from Umdatu Ahli Tawfiq wa Tasdeed, even though they have misquoted the work of Muhammad bin Yusuf al-Sanusi rahmahullah ta'ala, and the work of Aduddin al-Iji, and the work of Sayyid al-Sharif al-Jurjani, misquoting or randomly quoting passages from those works and giving the impression to Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah that these masail are masail khilafiyah amongst ourselves. We must be very careful of this, and this is why it is very important that we return back to the books of our Akabir. And let me tell you something about the Akabir of the Indian subcontinent. There is not, for instance, in this work of Fadlul Rasul Badayuni rahmahullah ta'ala, there is not one mas'ala of aqidah except they touched upon it. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم.